Hello and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. My name is Joni and I'm the blogger behind simplelivingmama.com. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about homeschool schedules with you guys. So, if you don't know my story, I am a homeschool mom to 7. 5 of them are school age. I have an almost 4-year-old and then a 9-month-old as well who are tagging along with me all day long. My oldest child is about to be 13, and I have an 11-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old, and then a 5-year-old. So our school days are super busy, and I have to have a schedule in order for us to get everything done that we need to get done. I'm going to talk about how I do that, how I accomplish that, because it can seem like a big, huge task, especially with managing so many children. It's like, how do I get everything done that I need to get done? So in this video, I'm going to talk strictly about the homeschool schedule. Also, throughout the day, we do have other things that we have to do, like cleaning up. That is a huge part of our homeschool because there's 8 of us in the house all day, and then my husband comes home in the evenings, and the kids make a lot of messes. So we have to schedule in some cleanup days, and I'll talk about that in another video if you want to hear how I deal with all of that as well. But like I said, today is just about homeschool schedules. So first I'm going to talk about how I plan out the entire year before I break it down into the daily schedule. So I use sort of a Sabbath schedule. What we do typically is we do 6 weeks of school and then we take a week break. And we all look forward to that week break because it gives me time to catch up on organization projects around the house or any of the other things that kind of get neglected while we're doing all this homeschooling for those 6 weeks. Now, of course, when there's holidays and stuff that come up, the schedule gets a little, off. It's not perfectly 6 weeks on, 1 week off. We do take breaks for holidays and stuff as well. So, we take a fall break in October, so that's our first break after the 6-week chunk that we do. And then we take a week off for Thanksgiving. We take 3 weeks off for Christmas. And then we have a break in February and then another break in April before our school year is out at the very end of May. So that's sort of how I do it. So our spring break is in that April time frame, which also happens to fall right around Easter. I do also take off the regular Monday holidays, and I just do that because my husband is off work those days, and I like to spend that time with him, relaxing or whatever. So we do take off like Labor Day, Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, and Columbus Day, I think is the other one. So yes, we do all of that. We take off for Good Friday and those holidays as well. Now in years past, we've had various schedules. Like last year was a huge year with a lot going on. I had a baby in November, and then we moved in March, the end of March, the beginning of April. So that schedule kind of got tossed out the window, and we just did school when we could around all of the exciting stuff that was going on in our lives. But in a normal school year, that's how I do it. I do my Sabbath schedule. It works well for us, and that's how I like it. And I do have a blog post on how I plan that Sabbath schedule as well as some other ideas you could incorporate if you wanted to do a year-round homeschool schedule. I initially thought I would be a year-round homeschooler, but then just with the way things fell, we decided we were going to take summers off. And our summers may not be like I said last year when we had the baby and the move and stuff. I think we only took off maybe 3 or 4 weeks for summer. So I think this next year our summer will be a little bit longer. That's the beauty of homeschooling though, is that you get to choose when you have time off and when you're doing school. So it's all dependent on what works for your family, and you have the freedom. If you're having a baby or you're moving or any other big, huge life event, you have the freedom to change things up based on what's going on in your life. Okay, so now that I've talked about how I do my yearly schedule, I guess, I'm going to talk about how we do our daily schedule. So My Father's World is our main curriculum. We are using Exploration to 1850 this year. This curriculum in particular is for my older kids, my 3rd grader, my 5th grader, and my 7th grader. Now my younger kids, they don't do school nearly as long as the older kids. Last year we did use My Father's World Kindergarten. This year, kind of doing my own thing. They have their morning basket of stuff, and then they have their own curriculum. We're doing more of a workbook style thing for them, for their math and their language arts. And it doesn't take very long for me to do those things with the kids. Now, of course, I do like to use our afternoons to add in other fun projects with them and my older kids if we have time, just depending on the day and what's going on. And I'll talk about that here in a minute, how I do all of that. That's not a part of book work, just the fun stuff. Okay, so My Father's World does actually have a pretty nice schedule in their teacher's manual. They like to have it to where everything is done by lunch, and then, you know, the older kids may have some independent work to do after lunch, and the afternoons are free. And I don't follow their time block schedule exactly, but that is very much how I do my homeschool. We do all of our stuff in the morning, and then we have lunch, and then the afternoons are for independent work, and then just free time, whatever else we may have going on. So what I like to do is, ideally, I personally get up between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. That's when I'll start my day. Do the things that I need to do, I check emails, look at my devotional, read my devotional, get some coffee, start breakfast, all of that stuff. And then all the kids are getting up at this time, we get dressed for the day, we clean up after breakfast, and then by around 9 o'clock, sometimes our days get started a little bit later, so we're not starting our morning time until maybe 9:45, but in that 9 o'clock time block is when I like to start our homeschool. And a lot of times I will start with my older children first, and they have their morning basket, which I have a video on their morning basket, and I will sit down with them and I will do their readings with them. So we'll do our devotional, we'll do our read aloud book, we'll do our poems, and a lot of times I will also include an activity for them to do, like a little math activity or a little language arts activity, something like that. And that sort of helps to fill their cup before I start working with my older kids, because I have a lot to read aloud with the older kids. Now, ideally, once I start the morning time with my older kids, the little kids would sit down with a quiet activity or a snack or something like that. I'm gonna be real here with you guys and say that that doesn't always happen. They're kids, okay? They don't always want to sit quietly while I'm doing school with the older children. So it can get loud, and my older kids have had to learn how to adapt to the noise level in our home, just because we do have so many people in the house and little kids are not quiet. So a lot of times, yes, we are having to we do have this room I'm in right now is the library, and then right down these steps over here is like the main area of our home where the kids can run around and be crazy. So a lot of times I will do all of our readings up here in the library, while I can also I can see the kids and hear the kids, so that way we're not in the same room. But sometimes we are in the same room, and I'm downstairs at the table with the older kids and the smaller kids are running around. But, you know, that is something that I know will change with time. They won't always want to run around and be loud while I'm trying to do morning time with the big kids. Okay, so that's just me being honest and telling you that it's not always this picture perfect sitting around the table, everybody's listening to mommy read happily, okay? Because it's just not how it happens. And if that is what your homeschool looks like, please tell me your secret, because I want to know. I want to know. Anyway, once I sit down with the big kids, we do our Bible study together, and then I will do our history readings, we'll do our hymn study, we'll do one or two things usually from the Homeschool Garden morning time plans, like an artist study, composer, folk song. I don't follow that plan exactly, because that can actually be used as an entire curriculum for younger kids. There's that much goodness packed into those Homeschool Garden morning time plans. But since I'm like using them as a supplement, I spend, I'll take maybe a 4-week plan and I'll spend 2 to 3 months on it. So I'm only doing like 1 or 2 activities from the homeschool garden per day. Anyway, so we'll do all of that in the morning. And, you know, we'll have our discussions. My oldest son is no longer doing science with us because he has aged out of it. He has his own science that he does. So we don't do science together anymore. But we do all of our history and our Bible and all of that stuff. Artist study, composer, all of that is done all together. So once I finish with that, and the kids will either do some narration with me or a notebook page or something like that, usually it's time for me to do science with my older children. And the thing is, with my Father's World Science, I can pull in my younger kids and kind of get their interest with it as well. So it's not just me doing it with my 3rd grader and my 5th grader. My little kids will come and sit and listen too because they like learning about the animals and stuff. So I'll do science with them. And by this point, it's time to do lunch. And we do lunch around 12. And then after lunch is when we try to have a quiet time. And then the older children are doing their independent work. If I've had time, if we finish our morning time early, I'll do the independent work with my little children. Their language arts and their math and their handwriting. If we have not gotten to that before lunch, I will do that with them, and then they will have their quiet time. It just depends. And I sort of do a rotation through my kids, and I help each child that needs help. My older 3 kids use teaching textbooks, so they don't necessarily need me right there with them when they're doing their math. They do their math on their own. And my 2 older children are fairly independent with their language arts. And of course, they have their own independent reading, and they get all of that done just asking for my help as needed. I do a little bit more with my 3rd grader because he needs my help. He's learning cursive this year, so I'll help him and demonstrate how to do his cursive. And I will do his language arts with him because he still needs me to sit with him for that. And I do spelling with all of the older kids too. So 1 day a week I will do spelling power with them. I will find out what words they're going to need to learn that week. And then they'll study the words on their own. And then Fridays we'll do our spelling test. So sounds a little confusing, but basically morning time is in the morning, lunch, then independent work time is after lunch, and we have quiet time. They don't necessarily, like my older son does take a little bit longer because his stuff is more involved now that he's at a junior high level basically. My 3rd grader, my 5th grader get done fairly quickly. And then they just have the afternoons to do what they want to do unless we have to leave the house. So they'll help me with some cleanup projects. They'll help me if I need my daughter to watch the baby so I can get the dishes done or something like that. She'll do that for me. They like to go outside and do their PE. They do different challenges. They see who can run a mile the fastest and stuff like that. They come up with their own things that they like to do, and that's perfectly fine with me. And you know, they just have that free time to read if they want to read, to work on puzzles, to do handicrafts, and that's our typical day. We do have some outside the home extracurricular activities. Most of them are in the evenings, you know, like after the whole homeschool day is over with. There are some things like Thursdays are sort of like my block day where we don't do morning time because we're out of the house in the morning, so the kids will only do their independent work that day in the afternoon. And then sometimes we have different things going on for different kids, like once a month. They're involved in various extracurricular activities, and we just, I know to adjust my schedule that week when I'm planning my entire week, you know, the Sunday before. So I'll know where to adjust my schedule and such. But that is basically how we do it. It's a full day for me. I am very tired at the end of the day. I'm not gonna lie. I do have a lot to do during my daytime. But that is something that I love. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. I love teaching my kids. I love watching them grow. I love watching them learn. It has been an amazing experience. It has been everything that I thought it would be and more. I'm so close with my kids, and I have seen them learn so much from this homeschooling experience. Yes, it is a full-time job in itself, but you know, it's not a monetary job, but the rewards are so much greater than any paycheck would ever be, I believe. So anyway, that is how we do it. If you have any questions, if I confused you and you want some clarification on anything, just leave me a comment down below and I will be happy to try to clear things up. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.